Hey, man, you don't mind if I play through, do you?
Sure can. Welcome to Playing Through.
Yeah, right.
Welcome to another edition of Playing Through, sponsored by Move Faster Golf.
Welcome back, MFers.
Hey, today we got a very special guest, Mr. Eric Fridline, with us. Eric is a doctor of physical therapy at Midland and Freeland Sports Rehab, the highest medically certified Titleist Performance Institute, or TPI, as you'll hear through the rest of the podcast today, in the state of Michigan.
Ooh. Pretty cool.
Yes. Some of his hobbies, loves to play the guitar, plays hockey, and I hear maybe a special win about, we talked about before this.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to get a little of that in. But most importantly, loves to play golf. And he's here today to chat all things TPI regarding golf and fitness. Eric, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Eric. I appreciate you coming today. First question, obviously, how did you get into golf and what actually got you into just loving the game and what you do now?
Yeah, so growing up, my dad belonged to Flint Elks Club in Grand Blanc area.
Yep.
So would always play junior golf, Flint junior golf in the area.
Okay.
My dad played golf. My uncles played golf. Like in the off season when I wasn't playing hockey, I was playing golf. So it was just always around, always watching it growing up. And then the Buick Open, which at work was,
right there.
That,
Yep.
that was home. So
Yeah.
It was just always a part of my life. Really was.
So you played hockey at a young age too, and obviously it kind of correlates.
Yeah, I grew up on skates, and you know when the summer hits, might as well go swing another
Right.
stick around
Yeah.
on the court.
What,
So.
one stick to another stick.
So hockey, we just, like Dino mentioned, you had a big win, and you said you celebrate. He was a little rough today because he said he celebrated last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we won our men's league in Midland, Michigan, which, you know,
Woo, hey.
when you're in your 30s
celebrate all
and
wins.
stuff, you know, it's,
Right.
it's fun.
Right, exactly.
Have a good time. So.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So after your doctorate at U of M, the greatest university on the planet,
National
champs. What made you decide to dive into the world of TPI?
Yeah, you know, I didn't really know what Titleist Performance Institute was at all. In PT school, I had a strong desire, and I still have a desire to be on the PGA Tour or work with professional golfers.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a gentleman who went to Grand Valley. His name was Jeff, and I saw he was Titleist Performance Institute, and I saw some of his certifications, sent him a message, kind of gave me a pathway. I love golf, right?
Yep.
Like, it was great. So my third year in PT school, I went out to Philadelphia, got my level 1 certification through TPI. In that time, I was speaking with a PT on the PGA Tour, and we can dive into that down the road.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome. And with me being physical therapy, like, you want to help people, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And with golf, you know, we all have our pains and aches. So if I can match both worlds, then let's do it, right? So it just seemed like a good fit.
Yeah. If you want to match golf and pain, have Keith give you an instruction.
I might have had Dino on his knees with back pain a week ago. That's no big deal. We can go into that later with another podcast. So obviously TPI is Titleist Performance Institute. I've used it back. I mean, I've done it on myself. I've done screens. So when it comes to TPI, I was telling Dino this, and he actually asked me about this. The actual concept is if you can't match your body to a certain swing, you have to match your swing to what your body can do. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what's nice about this is, you know, we all have different swings, right? So the one thing we all have in common, though, with golf, they call it your kinematic sequence.
Yeah.
And it's basically an impact. You should have 4 parts moving in line with each other, which everyone can do. But we have individual swings, we all are built differently, right? So it's trying to mold what you can swing around based on your body. And what's nice about the screening is all the pros and college golfers, they all have this, and they probably get screened bi-monthly, you know, six months, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's finding their limitations and then building that screen so you're not hurting them. Like from a golf instructor standpoint, right? Like if you have back pain and I'm giving you a drill to work on,
Yep.
but it's making it worse, we got to figure out why it's making it worse.
Yeah, like don't grab their shoulders.
He's still all bent out of shape about that.
Literally.
2 days later, you could walk. It's not a big deal.
But it is. It's just, you know, trying to build that swing around your body limitations.
Yeah,
And
and-
understanding how your body moves.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I got certified, but obviously I just scratched the surface on your knowledge and what you've done, obviously in the level 3 stuff. I mean, that's kind of just talk about like just the different levels of what kind of you start learning more education wise.
Yeah, so from a physical therapy standpoint, once you get your level 1, which is the baseline screen, you go to your level 2. From there, they talk about, it's called like an FMS, SFMA, which is a selective functional movement assessment. So it dives you a little deeper into like if you don't pass or they don't pass or fail, but if you have limitations with hip rotation, we can dive a little bit better into see, is it your anatomy, is it your bone, is it muscle, is it, you know, tightness, whatever it is, and get a better hone on that. Level 3 just took it to a whole nother level in regards of, we went everything from eye dominance with golf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was really fascinating. The stuff I learned, and they talked about like the pros that came in, and then the 3D analysis with the golf swing. The K-Vest has really advanced golf 100%. And when you get data and numbers like that with seeing how your pelvis moves like a tenth of a degree, like it can make a world of a difference from a professional standpoint. For amateurs, it might not help us as much. It's probably information overload, but when you get to that level, I mean, if you got a great instructor, a medical provider, and a K-Vest to look at stuff, there's no reason why you can't be the best in the world, really, at the end of the day.
I mean, you speak of eye dominance. I actually use eye dominance in instruction when I'm doing putting.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I'll ask somebody if they know if they're right eye or left eye dominant, and they don't. And it's like, it's important for when you're putting. I mean, it's a 100%. Huge deal.
Well, and that's one thing they talked about out there. So 80% of people are mostly
right eye, right?
Same eye dominant. So
right
hand, right eye, right? Yep. And those golfers in the world, that's like your Brad Faxon. I believe that's your Zach Johnson. But your cross-eye dominant, 20%, that's your Jack Nicklaus, right? That's your Arnold Palmer. Those are your cream of the crop golfers. And that 20% are the better golfers because typically they stay in the shot longer if you think about it. If they're a right-handed golfer and left-eye dominant, they're usually going to stay behind that ball a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then usually the same side dominance, they look at, you might have more of an open stance at address, which then you might fade the ball out a little bit or come out of your shot. So it's really fascinating when you dive into that, like your perception and what you perceive. Like, cool. It's just wild to me. So, but yeah, the cross-eye dominant, so right-hand golfer, left eye, tend to be the better golfers.
Oh.
That's 20%. And if you don't know how to do it, quick, easy test, like pick an object out, do a hole like this, close one eye. If you see it through the other eye, that's your eye dominance.
Yep. It's amazing. I think when I did instruction stuff, it's from back then, I don't know if the stat has changed, from 10 feet, if you're a right eye dominant player, from 10 feet without lining up a logo or anything, you are averaged 4 inches out left aim from 10 feet, 4 inches out left of the cup, which is, and I don't know, that was 12 years ago probably, or 15 years ago. I don't know what it is now, the stats, but
I don't know offhand, but I'm sure it's something.
It's nuts from
like
10
that.
feet. And just imagine what it is from 30 feet. Just,
Oh my gosh.
That's why I recommend everybody to use a logo or use a line.
Absolutely. Well, they say golf's a game of misses, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have alignment aids that can help you putt or
Yep.
make better
Yeah.
shot selections, use them.
Yeah. Well, considering you can't use a lot in golf, it's kind of nice when it's built into the equipment to use it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Why not take advantage?
Yeah. It's fascinating. It really is.
So, Eric, what do you think are some of the most common physical limitations that TPI identifies in golfers?
Yeah, typically, so across the board, I think with male golfers is hip down or hip limitations, right?
Yeah.
The way our pelvis sits, and anatomically speaking, we have limited hip internal rotation. And in golf, when we talk about the human body, when we break it down, we go joint by joint. And you want to have a mobile joint, a stable joint, mobile joint, stable joint, and it just alternates. And that's kind of the theory behind it all. So if you have a joint like your low back, right? Everyone has low back pain. It's like the second most common diagnostic in America.
Dino and I both do.
Yeah.
We all do to
Yeah,
some
right.
degree, right? But when we look at golfers, they all have low back pain, right? So your low back's a stability joint. It's supposed to be stable. It's not supposed to rotate. Well, to rotate, you got to use your upper back, your thoracic spine, and your hips. So if you're losing that mobility in your hips or thoracic spine, now you're creating mobility in your low back when you shouldn't be creating mobility. That's a stability joint.
Yep.
So we focus a lot on hip and T-spine range of motion, stretches, and activity. That is usually the biggest culprit with golfers, hip mobility.
Yeah, that makes sense. So as far as like when it comes to TPI, and it's like I remember, and I'm going to ask the question, like TPI, when you do a screening, it gives a index or / like a handicap for like, that would mean the less mobile person would be a higher handicap, kind of like in relation to golf.
Yeah.
So is there any correlation between the guy with the high handicap fitness screening and being a good player or vice versa or anything like that?
So the fitness index screen that you get after completion of the screen, like I don't think there's any correlation from like a scratch golfer.
Right.
Because
Okay.
I'll screen someone who's, really good golfer for index, and they'll score a 22 on the fitness index handicap on the screen. You're like, the guy's like, I'm not a 22. It's like from a body standpoint, it's a baseline measurement.
Yeah.
It gives us an idea. That way we can keep track. If I screen you in a month, if you kept up with the stuff that I gave you to work on, we should see that lower. Just like in golf, right? You want to get better so your index goes down. So,
Yeah, it's just like anything. I mean, any type of program, whether it's fitness, TPI, or just even instruction, if you stick to something, whether you pick out someone like yourself and just say, hey, I'm going to get with you and I want to do this, you're going to see improvements. I
Absolutely.
mean, yeah, it's
It's no different from going to the gym. If you want to get stronger, you got to work out, right?
Yep.
So with golf, it's the same thing. I mean, TPI has developed this great program for amateur golfers to understand more about how their body moves to help decrease their pain. Everybody wants to play golf longer, right? They want to hit the ball farther.
Sure.
So why not make you understand how your body moves in order to do that?
Yeah, exactly.
I know how my body shouldn't move.
Right, exactly. I
as,
don't know
as I
nothing about
refer
that.
as I refer to my swing as the uncoiling spring. It's pretty much it.
But you're
So-
playing, right? So
Or playing.
That's all that matters.
We've talked about that a lot. It's a sport that's made for longevity, right?
Yeah.
Age groups, age levels are it doesn't really matter. I have guys in my league who are in their 80s that are still playing golf and competitively still playing. The game lends itself that way, right? Because you move further up to compensate for
Yep.
your loss of strength. I said to this day, I had a guy in his early 80s in my league. If you want a guy on your foursome for an outing, put him on it. And that guy around the greens and putting, he was deadly, completely 100% deadly.
And that's golf, isn't it? Short game.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have
Yeah.
a strong. Anyone can hit
Yeah.
the ball now.
Yeah.
250, 300. But if you're not solid 150, 120 yards in,
Yeah, it's one of those for guys who played sports your whole life. You can continue to play a sport for a long time. I don't know. At my age now, I would never want to put a basketball in my hand and try and play again. That'd be death. So, anyways, just kind of the game itself lends it, I think, for that longevity you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And if you know more about your body and your swing, think how much longer. That would even continue to help propagate. So,
Exactly.
that's great. So a little bit more about TPI. I mean, has the education evolution of TPI favored a little more towards that speed and power that we see in the game today, and especially maybe at higher levels?
Yeah, absolutely. TPI has branched out. They got a fitness, medical, and golf, professional side, and now they have a power and strength thing that they're incorporating. And it is like if you watch, the pros, Full Swing on Netflix.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are doing plyometric, like box jumps,
Yep.
long jumps. You see these guys get airborne trying to keep up with the long hitters just to get every inch out of the golf ball. So the ground vectors, force vectors, using your feet in the ground, like that plyometric activity, they have really shifted gears. Look at the golfers in the 80s. Nobody worked out.
Right, yeah.
Tiger changed the game. He really
Yeah,
did.
he did.
With the whole fitness
Absolutely.
side of things. And you can be strong, but if you don't know how to use those ground forces properly, like the jumping aspect, that's going to help you so much.
Just a speed generation, acceleration versus deceleration versus when it happens.
Yes.
It's just nuts.
Yes.
It's cool. I like learning about all that stuff too, in an instructional sense and everything else.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
And you see these guys when they warm up and stuff, they're doing quick whip movements with resistant bands, trying to fire their core up.
Yep.
And it's all about speed. The one thing they always say at TPI, like you can always teach someone how to swing a club, right? It's to some degree.
Yep.
But with kids, like let them swing as hard as they can. You can't teach speed.
Yeah.
You can over time, I'm sure, but like if I say swing a golf club and you're like, well, I don't want to swing it fast because I don't want to get hurt, like we can help you swing a golf club correctly. Let's get you swinging fast because you guys know that swing speed is huge.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right?
Piggybacking on that, like Eric's, for example, so I knew like TPI was incorporated with like speed training and speed sticks.
Yeah.
Speak to what exactly speed stick and speed training is.
Yeah, so the speed sticks and there's different brands out
Over
there.
speed training. Yeah.
Yeah.
It started with speed sticks, obviously. They're the number one brand.
Yeah, and you'll see these pros warm up with just like a weight on the end of a shaft, right?
Yep.
So what that is the heavier weight on these golf shafts, you try to swing harder, but that weight kind of lags you.
Yep.
And then you go down to a lighter weight. When you go back to that lighter weight, your body recognizes that it's not that heavy, so you naturally will swing it faster.
And
there's training programs. I think it's like a 12-week program typically. But if you stay with those swing speed like day in, day out, you're going to improve your swing speed 5-10 miles an hour. And we know if you do that, you're going to drive the ball 15, 20 yards
Yep.
farther. So
Overspeed training is a proven program. There's no doubt
100%.
about it. I mean, I've messed around with like even just the little tutorial they give you with the speed sticks that you swing a couple. We've had the privilege to be on simulators and look at our speed
Yeah,
and everything.
sure.
Hit some balls. My swing speed might be 105 to 107 is where I hang out. Do that. Swing these speed sticks however many times it tells you, 5 times this way, 5 times that, and then all of a sudden pick up a golf club again, and I can be swinging it at 109, 110 instantly. It's
Yeah.
nuts. It's crazy, and it only lasts maybe 3, 4, 5 swings because it's just not incorporated yet. But it shows you. It's cool.
It's fascinating. It
It
really
is.
is. I just, you look at baseball players, right? Like, they put
Sure.
those weights on the bat before they.
I mean, the old weight donut you used to put on your bat before you went.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Always.
You put it on, do a couple swings, like, man, that's heavy. And then you go on to the plate and you swing, and it's like, man, that's like effortless
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, speaking of that,
fascinating.
so for when it comes to the TPI screens or anything, you got any good success stories or somebody that stuck with the program or anything funny, anything that's happened to you, anything? Over the last couple years?
So from success stories, like if you do the work, you're going to notice success without a doubt. Even if it's 3 months, you're going to notice improvements. But, a couple years back before COVID, I had a gentleman come into the clinic and he wanted to get a TPI screen. So we sat down and, we're chit-chatting a little bit. I'm like, how long have you been golfing for? And he kind of looks at me funny. He's like, I don't necessarily golf. I'm like, what are you doing at TPI screen?
Kind of important, right?
Yeah, I was just kind of thrown off by it. And he's like, I've never swung a club in my life. I'm like, okay. I said, so
Really?
what are you using this for? Like, I know it's a fitness screen. He's like, I play AA ball for MLB organization, and this is what we use for our training and fitness assessments, which is fascinating because this was before TPI came out with Racket Fit, which is tennis, and they have a baseball one now.
Yep,
as
programs,
well,
yeah.
program. So they have really branched out into the swinging sports and to get people to understand more how your body should move efficiently. But the kid came in, I was so thrown off, and literally a curveball, no pun intended.
Right.
And I'm just like, what is this kid doing here? Like, he doesn't golf and he's got to do a screen. But he, this is what they use. And he failed miserably, by the way, with like mobility and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it was crazy to me. I'm like, here's a professional athlete, really, and I know it's D2 or not D2, I'm sorry, AA ball, and he is his range of motion's bad. And, you go and look, and statistically, his RBIs, things like that, like might not have been great, but he's playing professional ball, and this is his assessment. So it's fascinating. It's a multi-purpose tool for sure.
That's great. TPI and it's just like anything. They've dove in so much. They did so much research and just every single little team from the ground up. It's just nuts. It's like we're kind of golf junkies. We're kind of like golf junkies and you're physical fitness, and you branched off in another. But it's like you said, we keep saying the word fascinating, but if you actually dive into it, you can not only learn, but you can get better in a lot of different ways, not just golf, but just in body mobility, obviously.
It's wild. I remember when we were out at TPI, we were at Oceanside, which is Titleist headquarters, where you do your level 3.
Okay.
And they were talking about a professional golfer, and he had a spinal fracture from golfing. His X factor, which I'm assuming everybody knows X factor.
Probably not.
So X factor basically is the difference between your upper body and lower body and how much twist you get to generate force. It's torque.
And the separation of them, the two.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So it creates more whip, right? More club head speed. Professional golfer had a spinal fracture at one specific level because he had such a great X factor. Well, they hooked him up to the K-vest and found out he was rotating 1.2 degrees through his pelvis too much, which created that fracture. We can't, to the eye, see 1.2 degrees.
No.
What's fascinating is because of AI and 3D analysis, these pros have these numbers at their hands where that one little change made a difference for him. So he was very mobile. It was wild.
There is, so we have a K-vest, and I was here a few years ago. This is a kind of an instructional story I'll tell. It kind of goes along with that. So K-vest actually, along with TPI and movements, actually identifies what like the tour level is, and it doesn't mean it's perfect or has to be that. But so I had a gentleman in, and he was hitting 7-iron, and he had a certain amount of rotation with his backswing, and he was hitting a bunch of shots, and he was hitting some squirrely ones, and then he flushed some. He actually flushed some. So we actually looked back, and I counted them all, and the ones that he was hitting squirrely, which is crazy about it, the ones that he was hitting squirrely, he got, according to the actual K-vest, the numbers out there to where it's like this should be optimal. He was getting to a number on his backswing that was optimal, but he was hitting the squirrely ones. The ones he was flushing, he wasn't getting to an optimal backswing, but the difference was it also had side bend. So basically side bend is in your posture. So when he got to that optimal position to get that backswing, he had to come out of his posture to do it. And so literally for him, a shorter backswing but if he stayed in posture, he hit it way better. That's something that K-Vest identified. We can't really see that with the naked eye at all, not even with a camera in slow motion. We're talking 2 to 3 degrees.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
absolutely. And numbers don't lie. At the end of the day, they don't lie. So,
That's Keith's favorite thing always. The numbers don't lie.
oh, jeez.
This is data. I mean, we'll come.
Yeah.
He'll come on simulator. We'll see the shot. I'm like, well, look, it's like we don't have to talk about it. You
No.
can see right here.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy how far golf has advanced with technology, and
Yeah.
it's just fascinating. It
it's
really
cool.
is.
All right. Well, we'd like to give Eric, a huge thanks for coming on here.
Yes.
And we'd actually like to let the listeners know, I mean, coming into Midland Freeland Sports Rehab, what kind of services you guys do there? How can they find you? What days you wear?
Yeah, absolutely. So Midland Sports Rehab, Midland, Michigan. We do chiropractic services, which Jeff, who was on the show a few weeks back,
Yep.
he's actually worked on the Champions Tour.
Yep.
He's got his golf certifications as well through
Awesome.
TPI and a few others. So we got chiropractic care, we got physical therapy, acupuncture, massage therapy. We have this new stretch center where you basically come in and get stretched out. I can't recommend that enough. especially
Anybody
for
can
golfers.
stretch. I mean, yes, exactly.
So people's least favorite thing to do. So
100%.
if you have someone else do it for you, like it's a win-win. Midland or Freeland, I'm primarily at the Midland Clinic. We have people that will travel over an hour just to come see me for certain things.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
MidlandSportsRehab.com. We're there Monday through Friday typically. So, but yeah, it's pretty much a one-stop medical shop.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
we like when we had Jeff on, we said the same thing. It's the best in the Tri-Cities. It ain't even close in our opinion. It's like they do everything there. A bunch of great guys, great team.
Yep.
I mean, they all the services. Obviously, Eric can make you more mobile, better player, you name it. You heard it here first.
I'm not going to be. Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you can put the work, and make it happen,
Exactly.
you're going to notice improvements, no doubt.
Yeah.
I always promise people 2 things: improvements with your range of motion, improvements in strength. If you do it, you know it's going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Great. You heard it here, kids.
Yep.
Well,
Hey, thanks
well,
again, Eric.
yeah,
Thanks a
welcome.
bunch for coming on
thank
today.
you guys
Thank
so
you.
much. I
Yeah,
appreciate this.
appreciate
This
it.
was really fun.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Take it easy, MFers.
Hey, everyone. This is Keith Geiling,
And Dean Dittenber.
and you're here with the Playing Through podcast, sponsored by Move Faster Golf.
If you're wondering what Move Faster Golf is or how to become an official MFer, listen to our Playing Through podcast to find out.